Hi everybody, this is Lou Fenninger, and we're going to talk about how the idea came to my mind about building the perfect house. So the idea is to build a house so not airtight, so well insulated that it will not require heating that a conventional house needs. So the original idea came from an architect named Markham Wells, and he had some of it. He had the earth home idea where the house was bermed and insulated and enveloped in insulation and then covered by earth. And the idea that I added to his idea was to put a greenhouse in front of the house so that it would be a buffer and a heat source for the house. So any day there's sun, and I've experimented with this in my own home, anyway there's sunshine, the greenhouse becomes quite hot. Even on the coldest day of the year, I've had over 100-degree temperatures in my greenhouse. So, that temperature could be brought into the house and it could be stored in mass. So mass meaning concrete, rocks, anything that's that's a heat sink. So any rock, concrete, masonry, ceramic, anything like that could store heat. And so that's the concept. And as I was forging ahead with that project, I had a 6-home subdivision that I was planning, and it was the architect's friend of mine drew it up, and we had everything in line. We had a hydrogeological study done on the land. We had everything surveyed and elevations and the roadways. We had gone through it with the local planners, who was a woman named Catherine McInnes at the time in East Gwillimbury, who was very excited about the whole project. And the local mayor was excited about the whole project, Mr. Featherstone Haw. And then there was an election, and all this process takes years. And then there was an election, and a farmer was voted in. I won't mention his name, but he was voted in, and he was against the project for no other reason than it would be bermed or underground. And it was really not underground, it's on the ground and then covered with earth. Much like what they're trying to do now is they're building these green roofs, which, anyway, is kind of a compromise. But, then it went to, I had a challenge convincing the mayor. But shortly after that, I was still going through the process when Bob Ray was voted in the provincial legislature, and he froze everything completely with anywhere near the Oak Ridges Moraine. We were about a mile from the Oak Ridges Moraine, but that kind of squashed my project completely. At that point, I was completely spent, frustrated, and I'd spent a lot of money in the project, and I decided that I was not going to go ahead with it. And I shelved everything. I threw away the plans and stored some of them, still have them. And went on with my life. Built a chalet up at Sir Sam's, which was a great success, the building project. And I found I could build very effectively, very easily, very innovatively. And that's how it got started. So then I 25 years later, I finished my business outsource, and I was tired of it, and I was ready to get out of it. A fellow came up and asked me if I wanted to join him in a solar venture, and I said, sure, I'd love to. I've always been interested in solar, and in building technologies is what I read and what I do, and every year I usually have a building project, and so on I went. We started Lim Energy, and at the time we, Alex had the technical expertise, the computer expertise, and we learned the solar business kind of together. I was the sales and the business part of it, and he was the technical part of it. And we built that business, and as I got into it and started calling on customers and making sales, my solar house, solar lifestyle home was, I need to build it. You know, I decided I need to build this. I went through the preliminary process with a golf course, and they wanted to build it on the inside of the hill, but we found out that it would take 5 years just to get possible approvals. So I decided I wasn't interested in that. So I have property up here, and I've been looking for property. I have property up here in Halliburton, and I decided this would be a perfect venue. It's close to the lake. It's right on the ski hill. It's a great spot. Lots of people will see it. Lots of people will visit it. There'll be some interest, and people that are interested. You know, I'd like this to proliferate itself, to build a different, new type of house that is energy efficient, very self-sustaining, net zero plus, so that it produces more energy, much more energy than it uses, and it becomes a very comfortable house to live in. Comfortable meaning, when you think of yourself living in Florida, right? In the winter, so you go to Florida, you give up OHIP when you go to Florida, and you're away from your friends and family. Well, you make friends there, but some of you can't. Anyway, no, I'm sure everybody can. So in this house, any sunny day, even if it's a little overcast and sunny, partially sunny, it will be warm enough for you to sit out in the greenhouse area of this house in your shirt sleeves while it is heating your house. You can garden, you can have a hot tub out there, a lane pool, whatever you want. You know, it can be built, this house can be built 1,000 square feet, it can be built 10,000 square feet, whatever you like. And it will, regardless, unless you compromise it, it will be very, very energy efficient. As energy efficient as you can get with today's technologies. And because of the way that it works, you will have at least more than 10 times the amount of fresh outside air, which is of course the best air. Inside air actually is probably worse than sitting in the parkway in rush hour with with cars all around you, because of the the materials that are used in cabinets mainly, and carpeting, and the building materials that are used. So my house will not have any of that. It will, the concrete, the floors will be finished concrete. The walls will be dyed, stained, and finished concrete. It'll be very interesting. There'll be no drywall. All the walls, separating walls, will be ram earth or concrete or low-grade concrete that will have a mass, but will retain heat, but will have a texture and a tooth that is different from a conventional house. More like adobe, but not exactly. A good idea would be to have a look at David Suzuki's YouTube video on Randy Bachman's Ram Earth home, and it's a beautiful home, uses big timbers, which I'm going to use in this house, and Ram Earth. So as I was driving today, I thought Ram Earth, it's it's a technology that's not very well understood here in the East. In the West it is. But I just heard a friend of mine had a business in the West that was doing Ram Earth, and he sold all his equipment because he couldn't get it going, couldn't sell it. So as I was driving along, I think of, why not low-grade concrete? So meaning not that it's substandard, but right now our concrete, the amount of cement we mix into the mix of gravel, the strength of that cement is determined by the amount of concrete that goes into it, by the amount of cement that goes into it to make the concrete. So if we make a low-grade concrete, so meaning instead of I don't know the exact numbers, but instead of 3 parts cement to 1 part sand, we go 1 part cement to 20 parts sand. And this concrete still becomes concrete, but its compressive strength is not as high. So it's a lower grade of concrete. But because instead of 8 inches of it, we more than make up for that, because now it's going to be 16 inches. It's going to be twice as wide. And as long as the platform on top is spread out over that whole space, it's going to be probably stronger. And it's going to hold heat. So it's a heat mass, meaning when I was a little kid, my mother used to take a brick and put it in the oven, with the wood stove, and she would heat it up and then wrap it in a towel and put it in the bottom of my bed. And that would make our bed warm, and we'd go to bed and our feet would be toasty and we'd be warm. In the morning there'd be frost all around my face, but my feet would still be warm because of this brick. So that's thermal mass. That block of concrete or brick or clay holds heat and it disperses it slowly. So the whole house becomes a block of concrete. And you think about dampness. Dampness won't occur because this whole house is wrapped in an envelope below and above of insulation. Heavy, thick insulation. Impervious insulation. And then waterproofed on the outside. So it's going to be dry. It's going to be warm. It's going to have a constant temperature. So just to give you another little idea of constant temperature in a house, in a conventional wood frame house with drywall walls, when you open that door, the cold air comes in, it replaces the warm air, and there's really nothing in that house that holds the heat. Excuse me, that holds the heat. So it's replaced by cold air. Now when your furnace comes on, it blows the warm air back in and it's reheated. Where in a concrete house, all the concrete is warm at, let's say, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And you open that door and the cold air comes in, and you close the door and the 70 degrees of the concrete is still there. The floor is still warm, everything's still warm. It's going to take a lot more to cool that area. So it has a constant temperature. Anyway, that's it for today, and hope this works out. I'm going to have fun building my new home. I'm so excited. Every day I'm going to do a little video.